Somebody on the block always had a pickup truck, and it was not a big deal if it was somebody was going to the store. Every kid in the block jumped into the back of that pickup truck.
And they started shooting fireworks out in the courtyard. And so we took some of ours, and we were going to go out and shoot some too. And we went out there, and the smoke was so thick we couldn't even see each other.
You just walked out of the airport and up a stairs and into the plane, and that was it.
$15 bolt action 22 rifles. And we'd go out there and we'd go planking at tin cans and pop bottle caps and what have you, and just have a great time.
'58 Chevy Biscayne. And of course back then all I had was a pamphlet route for the last year, but I'd saved every nickel I had, and I had, about $300 or $400, and I couldn't believe that I could buy a car for $150. Of course, back then, it isn't just the cost, it's the idea that you could get in a car at 15, not know how to drive. This was an automatic, so it was pretty simple. Well, we didn't make arrangements ahead of time to have somebody drive the car home. And we certainly didn't, we knew that we wouldn't get pulled over. It wasn't a big deal. Police didn't enforce things like that. I mean, if as long as my dad was following me, I drove home with my car.
The police, as I knew them as a kid, primarily there as public servants.
I was never afraid of the cops, ever.
If you were out later, as when you're 17, 18 years old, if you were out and you wanted to have a beer or something, or you had a six-pack with you, and you got pulled over, well, I got to take the beer, you got to dump it out, and then I want you to go home. And if they told you to go home, you respected them enough to go home. Because, it was, I don't know how many times I got, stopped for minor things, and it was never like it is today, where you get the cop that pulls up to you and he's got his chest out and he's ready to either taser you or do something.
So they were there to help people. I mean, they weren't there to set radar traps and I call it GTM, get the money. And now they're taught, they're brainwashed literally to be in the SWAT team mode, or to be in the fill the city coffers mode, get out and write more tickets and get more money so the city can take and squander the money.
He came home a couple of times with stories about cops. I don't go, no, you just never had to worry.
4th of July, Dad would order a box of Spencer fireworks. He would set up a ramp-like thing on the dike that went out over a huge field, clear over to a river. And he would put the skyrockets on that and shoot them, Pinwheels he would put on the side of the garage, and they would spin around, And at night, Roman candles, we could hold Roman candles, and shoot them up in the air. And, it was just, 4th of July was just fun.
There was a fireworks stand that was at Deep Creek every year for many, many years, until probably I went away to college, in 1962. And you could go out there and buy firecrackers and rockets and what have you, and it was legal to shoot the fireworks off right there. Then it was no big deal. I never saw a problem, never heard of a problem. Kids and parents would have a great time. It was wonderful.
It would just be from dusk till everything ran out. We'd just be down there blowing stuff up and shooting stuff off, shooting things at each other, like the kids running around, and the parents and grandparents, everybody just kind of kicked back, and they would be watching the fire and cooking food and stuff.
For at least a week ahead of time, people were blowing off fireworks, firecrackers and stuff. That was fun because it was a real community thing, and I don't think you'd see that now. People would get together and have a picnic, and yeah, one year I had game sack races, watermelon eating. I think the egg race, we had an egg in a spoon. We played volleyball and badminton, and later that night blow off their fireworks.
As something as simple as blowing a firecracker off, or sitting out in the sun with firecrackers and an old tomato can in a tin of water and lighting that firecracker and watching that can go up in the air over and over and playing with all kinds of things.
If somebody was going up to the lake, it's a 10-mile drive, and everybody, all the kids would hop into the back of the truck, and whatever parent or grandparent was tasked with getting everybody up there, just roll us up there, drop us off, and come back probably about 5-6 hours later and pick us up from the lake.
My Uncle John was the only one that had a pickup, and he came over and picked us kids up with his kids and took us for a ride a couple of times. That was a real thrill for all of us. A 1955 Pontiac Chief 4-door. We fell asleep on the ledge next to the window in the very back. The window ledge was this, I don't know, maybe 2 feet wide. And Robin and I could get up in there and fall asleep and look at the stars on the way home.
If you did that today, you'd have to lay down in fear of a cop or somebody seeing you, or somebody grabbing their cell phone and reporting that, oh my God, there was a truck that just went by with a bunch of kids in it in the back, and they weren't wearing seatbelts. Oh, no, duh, So it's just, that's what you have to worry about. You have to worry about everybody with their cell phone ready to rat on everybody and report everybody,
If somebody did catch you out there driving with your kid in a parking lot, that was another thing when you were younger, is you could go to a parking lot and practice, and it never, nobody ever looked twice if it was after hours, stores were closed. You could be cruising around the parking lot all night.
Oh, well, that was common. Every kid in the neighborhood, kind of like, if they didn't have the Red Ryder BB gun, they had pellet guns. And what did we do? During the day when all of us kids were bored, on a hot summer day or in the fall or whatever, we were all out in the fields knocking sparrows out the telephone line. That's what we did, And our parents never came to us and said, you're wiping out the sparrow population.
I did finally get a BB gun when I was a kid. Finally got. I shoot birds with, but the birds I shot, I ate them. I didn't shoot them just to be shooting them. We ate them. So, and I had a cat, and he'd go hunt with me all the time. I had one of those Daisy ones, you hold 1,000 BBs. And I picked that gun up. That cat can be laying on that sleep. And we hear them BBs rattle. Up he comes. The first bird I shot, it was his. He's gonna get that bird. So he followed me there like a dog in the woods. First bird was his.
Dad would give us a .22, and we would shoot marmots. But we were taught how to use that gun. Kids nowadays, they don't know. They aren't trained to not touch a gun wrong, right? Or anything like that. Well, I joined the National Rifle Club when I was about 16, and there was a place, a big building, and they taught us prone shooting and standing shooting, with a sling and everything in the gun. And so that just completed my gun education, so.
Guns were part of our lives. Oh no, nobody freaked out and thought it was an assault rifle. You know.
And if you went out now, even in the woods nearby the city, and shot off a gun or 22 or maybe even a BB gun, somebody would be sniveling and calling the police, and you'd have a SWAT team, you know, inside your shirt, to say the least.
Keep things safer. Dad always kept stuff safe when he didn't give it to us to do something with, you know, a gun or something. But they've got to be responsible for their actions. The police have to be responsible for their actions, but they get away with murder.
We would get up in the morning and make a couple of phone calls, or somebody would holler across the street, and we were gone. And there'd be 5, 6 of us, sometimes only 3 of us. Get on a bike, sack lunch for the day, leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, come back at 8, 9 o'clock at night when it started getting dark. Parents never worried about us. They just knew that we were all together having fun.
From 29th down to 27th, there's a pretty good slope on the hill. The city of Spokane would take and block that hill off with roadblocks when we had a big snowstorm. And all the kids would go up there and go sledding on the hill. A city employee manned the site, and he brought wood up and built a fire, and we would toast the bread, and we'd toast marshmallows and hot dogs, you know, while we were taking a break from sledding. You can't do that anymore.
Freya is the hill that goes like this for about 40 blocks all the way to the bottom, you know. Start at the top of the hill sledding during the wintertime and go all the way down the hill for 1.5 miles. If sledding was good, he would go and get barricades and put barricades up and close the whole hill, just so the kids on the block could do that, make that long 1.5 mile run down city streets. And we would do it over and over and over. There was probably 30 to 40 kids on our block. Usually in the evening, the parents started doing it. Yeah. It wasn't just the kids, the parents would do it. You know, I mean, things were so relaxed back then. You know, and we're not talking about that many years ago. We're talking about the early 60s.
What happened? How have we lost so many simple personal freedoms? Are we somehow safer? Or have we merely relinquished personal responsibility for perceived security?
You know, I think one thing is the law got involved. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that, you know.
You can't keep up. You can't keep up with all the laws that they keep enacting. You know, it seems like every time you turn around, they've either increased a fee for something, or if not increased it, it's a new law, and you're just constantly paying for this or that.
Yeah, on the radio the other day, I heard that it's illegal to have a garden in your front lawn, and that like the cops came and made an old lady dig up her front lawn.
Now, WJCL News at 11.
Midway police bust none other than a lemonade stand because the 3 girls running it did not have a business license.
3 young girls thought if they sold enough lemonade, well, they could make enough money to go to the water park. Unfortunately, they thought wrong.
Telling them, look, we understand you guys are young, but still, you're breaking the law, and we can't let you do it anymore.
I mean, there's always an idiot out there that's doing stupid things and endangering children. But by and large, I don't think most people are like that.
Gun control does not work. Your own history is replete with high school rifle teams, Boy Scout, marksmanship merit badges. You could buy rifles at the hardware stores. You could order them, mail order, delivered to your home. Your country was awash in readily available firearms and ammunition. And yet, in your past, you did not have mass school shootings. Other people have already expressed the question, what changed? It was not that the availability of guns suddenly exploded or increased. It actually was decreased. What was changed was societal decay.
It's just a push, push, shove, shove world out there. The pressures that are on people for everything. I don't know whether it's constantly trying to keep up with the Joneses, and they got the bigger house, they got more cars.
Even though the prices of things have gone up, wages haven't gone up. People became desperate because they couldn't afford to buy a home or do anything. And so the wife started working.
We need the family unit, the mom and the dad, and the mom being the heart of the home, which is a full-time job, and it deserves a huge paycheck. But the paycheck isn't in stuff, and the paycheck isn't in dollars and cents. It's in reward for what she contributes to the family unit. That's her paycheck, and it's an incredibly more important paycheck. And I just think that all of this give it to me now and I'll pay for it later concept has eroded away our real values and principles of about saving money and having the money in your pocket or in the bank when you go and buy something. And now the dollar is totally worthless. If you spend $10 today, it's like spending $3, 20 years ago. It has no value.
$1, you could buy a lot more with $1 then than you can buy now. You can't buy nothing with $1 now. Can't buy a cup of coffee for $1 now.
Cars were only $2,000 or $3,000. Really nice cars. I mean, a Mustang was
Brand new.
Brand new. I never thought I'd spend more on a car than I did on my first home.
Well, yeah, and everybody used to know their neighbors. I couldn't tell you the name of anybody that lives in this complex. People don't trust anyone anymore, and there's I'm sure there's reasons for that, but I think that in older generations' times, the way you build trust is by getting to know people, and that was just part of how you conducted yourself in daily life was, being cordial to people. Yeah. A community is really hard to come by anymore. Everybody is so individualized, but it used to be somebody would be out there looking out for your kid if they happened to see him, and somebody somebody would call and say, hey, I saw your kid doing this or whatever. Nobody's going to bother to do that anymore. If they saw your kid in trouble, they would rather call the cops than intervene.
For liberty and justice for all. Yeah. I don't pledge allegiance because they ain't a word of that right. Ain't a word that true. It's liberty and justice for the rich or the big man, but it ain't never been no liberty and justice. It ain't never been justice for all.
You don't get information the same way, too. Now everybody's on their own. Everybody's got their laptop. Everybody's got their latest device. But the one thing they're missing is they're missing the communication between each other. And that's the same as a family. You could do the same thing with a family. If everybody's going in 100 different directions, how do you keep... That's vital. That's what's different, is the division.
Especially when you have a society like ours where you have people who don't value their worth. And it's cyclic. people value their worth and then fight for it and die for it, and they have it for a while, and most of the time it's just a little while, and then it's broken down and taken away, and then people are grateful to get just anything. You know, that's to me a form of slavery, you know, where things don't get better, you know.
Where would you say that we're at right now in this cycle?
Selfishness.
Right in between total dependence and bondage. I mean, it's plain.
Down at the bottom, selfishness. Selfishness down at the bottom. Now we're at the bottom. And next to that, that's complacency. Yeah, we're down at the bottom, I would think.
Between dependence and bondage? Yeah. Yeah. Apathy, dependence, and bondage. Yeah. Complacency, selfishness. We're on this half. We're on this half of the circle.
I think right now we're somewhere between apathy and courage, where there's certain people that are, you know, getting more vocal about their, you know, about what their perception of what their rights are supposed to be, which is in direct conflict with what the government says. And then, you know, on the other hand, you have people that don't really seem to care or don't notice that they're, you know, they haven't seen a change, that maybe they're used to it now because they had that complacency.